Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about weeds. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Mr. Tingle Talks. This episode we're going to talk about weeds, what they are, why you need to get rid of them, and then lastly, how do you do so. So, very first thing is, what is a weed? For our garden, a weed is anything that's growing where you don't want it to be. Over here, we have a pepper plant. We want this guy, not a weed. Right here, we have something, I don't know what that is. Right here, we have some grass, I don't know what that is. We don't want it. These things are weeds. So, you can get really scientific with what a weed is, the different types. This little piece of clover, here's some grass. But for our garden, our purposes today, a weed is just anything that's growing where you don't want it to be. So next, why is it important to get rid of weeds and get them out of your garden? A couple different reasons. First, weeds are a huge competitor to the plants that you want to grow. If you let these weeds here take off and grow over time, they will steal this plant's water, its nutrients, and then shade it out and kind of smother it, and it's not going to grow and produce peppers like you want it to. So that's reason one, is it's competition. Second reason, if you peel back all the different leaves and layers under here, these weeds harbor pests. There's aphids, I found them earlier, ants, these little flea beetles, all this stuff. And it's just a matter of time before they get to the weed, to your plant, and then you've got a huge pest problem in your vegetables that you don't want. And the last thing is they're ugly, they're an eyesore, and they're really in the way. If you let these things continue to grow, they're going to get big and bushy. You're going to come in here to try to pick these peppers. You're going to have to run your hand through all this grass and stuff. Some of these have thorns. A lot of times stinging insects like to live in the weeds. You're going to run your hand through there and get stung or poked or whatever. And it's just not a lot of fun. You're going to not want to be in your garden. And so you just get rid of them. Your garden looks better. You don't have to fight the bugs and the weeds, and life is good. So why it's important to get rid of them is they're competition, they harbor pests, and they're ugly, and they're not sore, and they get in the way. So next is, how do you get rid of your weeds? There's two ways to approach this. There's a preventive measure, and then there's a treatment measure. I'm a big proponent of the fact that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, so we'll start with preventative measures. A couple different ways to prevent weeds are using things like this, which is a weed barrier. This is plastic mulch. We have paper mulch on the other end. The way this works is, underneath the plastic, these weeds will germinate and grow. And once they come up and hit that plastic, they don't get sunlight, they don't get water, and then they die and they're out of the way. So you don't ever see them. Preventative. Another preventative measure is the use of Pre-Emergent herbicide, which is a chemical you spray, and when these little weed seeds germinate in the ground, they hit that chemical and they die before they come up. And then the last preventative measure to talk about is keeping weeds from going to seed. This is grass here. If you let this grass weed go to seed, you end up adding more weed seed to your weed seed bank, which is the amount of weed seeds you have in your garden. That's a tongue twister, but essentially kill the weed before it makes babies, and over time you'll have less weeds. So some preventative measures there: the weed barrier, pre-emergent herbicide, and kill them before they go to seed. And lastly, if you get a weed problem like we have here, they just take off this time of year. It's hot, it's humid, it's raining every day. They kind of get out of hand. There's some different approaches to once you have a problem to treat them. First was mechanical. I like to use a hoe. I like to use this stirrup hoe. It's here. It's not like a traditional chopping hoe. This one you kind of use it like a mop. It's really nice. The way it works is that thin little blade slices underneath the soil. It's going to cut the plant right here. It cuts off the top, cuts out the weed, and you just pull it out of the way and the plant dies. I like it because it's quick, easy, and efficient. You can still use it to chop like a normal hoe, but I can clean up this whole garden in about an hour and a half if I really set my mind to it. So there's mechanical. It's the use of a hoe, something like a tiller, flamethrowers. Those are really cool. Those are all mechanical. The next way is hand pulling. If you get big weeds like this, sometimes that hoe won't get them. You just use your hand, pull them up, and chuck them out of the way. This is really important to use around like the drip irrigation and things like that. Little intricate areas where you can't always get that hoe, just use your hand to pull them out. And the last way to get rid of weeds is using chemicals. These are herbicides. Roundup's a good example. You come through and spray it, any kind of broadleaf killer. I don't mean to be hippy-dippy with it, but I try to avoid them for a couple different reasons. One, they are dangerous, I'm not gonna lie. If you don't read the label right, you ingest it, they can cause all kinds of problems. But another big reason is it's easy to overspray. If you're trying to hit these here, it's going to be easy to hit this leaf, and once you get on this plant, you're going to kill it too. So chemicals have their place. I'm not all against them, but I kind of try to use those as a last resort, only when you're really in a pinch. they can cause all kinds of problems you don't want to go into. So a few tips really quick for weed removal. Use the weather to your advantage. Today it's really hot. If I come through and pull these weeds up and get them, so that's a bad example. Pull this one up so the roots on top and let it sit here for a second in the sun. It's going to wither away and die. The other day I chopped some weeds. It came back in rain. Half of them are still alive because it got rain and they're still doing their thing. And I'm currently getting eaten alive by a bug. That's all right. So, moral of the story, I'm starting to ramble. What is a weed? A weed is just anything growing where you don't want it to be. Why do you need to get rid of them? They're competition, they harbor pests, and they're ugly and they get in the way. And then lastly, how? You can either prevent them with weed barriers, pre-emergent herbicide, or prevent them from going to seed, or you can treat it mechanically by hand or with chemicals. So hope this helps, keeps the weeds out of your garden. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll see you next time. Bye.